What's going on, football fam? My name is Dave Sarner, and welcome to another edition of the Rise and Fall Fantasy Football Show, Week 9 edition. Now, in this week's games, we're going to be going over every single game on the Week 9 docket, as always. So just so you know, we cover one episode per game this week, so there's going to be a lot of episodes coming your way. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel, ring that bell so you'll get notified when all of my videos go live, and then you'll have all that content ready for this Sunday. Now, with all that being said, enjoy the episode for Week 9. On this episode, we're going over the 1 o'clock matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings are a 4-point favorite going into this game as they host Detroit Lions in what should be a really solid NFC North division rivalry. Both teams coming in playing pretty decent here. Matthew Stafford had a really nice game last week, 22.44 fantasy points, 336 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Marvin Jones, Marvin Hall, and TJ Hockenson all registered double-digit points here with, of course, the injury to Kenny Golladay. We don't know if he's going to go in this game, and that's where my concern for the over-under may come in. I don't know what this team is truly going to look like here going up against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, you can say, well, they did it against Indianapolis, and I agree. Doing it against Indy, being able to get the production there makes me feel a little more confident about this. But Matt and I talked about on the show a couple weeks ago, we are not fans of Marvin Jones. I saw the way that they were when he wasn't there and when they can game plan for this, and it really could worry me going into this matchup here. I think they're going to have to rely on the run just a little bit more, and that's where you don't want to go with the Minnesota Vikings. You want to be able to pass the ball. Vikings are giving up the 5th most points to quarterbacks, the 3rd most points to wide receivers. So, with that being said, you're going to take a chance on these guys this week. Matthew Stafford has a great matchup. I like him a lot this week. We just said it. 5th most points given to the quarterbacks the Vikings are right now. It could be a little high-scoring game here, and it could be a shootout, or he could flutter out without Kenny Golladay. So, pick your poison with that when it comes to Matthew Stafford. I've always kind of been not the greatest fan of him, but I do like him this week. He is number 10 on my list. I have him over guys like Derek Carr, Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Tannehill, and even Cam Newton, who has a great matchup as well. On the other side of things, Kirk Cousins, boy, I mean, he has just been not worth the money, in my opinion. I can say that much. I mean, he didn't have to do as much this game. I mean, what do you have to do when your running back goes off for 30 carries and 163 yards and 3 touchdowns? Not to mention the 3 targets, 2 catches for 63 yards and the 4th touchdown. But, I mean, listen, I think it's more about the play calling here, and that could be a problem. I don't like that they're not giving the ball to these receivers that they have because they have some really good ones. I also think Mike Zimmer is losing his faith in Kirk Cousins, which is resulting in this kind of change and, well, not change, but super focused on the run-heavy approach. That being said, this week should be an absolute just dynamite matchup for Dalvin Cook, guys. Running backs are scoring the 3rd most points against the Lions in fantasy matchups this year. So you're going to put him in. Start him. Dalvin Cook just went off for 47 points, 50 points last week. You put him in your lineup. You don't look back. He has another great matchup this week. So no worries there. On the quarterback side, let's go back to Kirk Cousins for a quick second. Lions are giving up the 11th most points to quarterbacks and the 14th most points to wide receivers. I do like Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson in this matchup. I think this game is going to be a little more high-powered, and I am hoping that what was predicted here, the 53.5 over-under, I think that's going to be somewhat accurate. Could even go above that. I'm definitely going to choose the over, by the way, on this game. But I'm sure it will go against me, and Golladay being out, we'll see Stafford and them struggle. And if it's supposed to happen the way it should, then Matthew Stafford's a good start. Marvin Jones is a solid start. And maybe even Danny Amendola, I like him over them. I think he would be the guy that maybe steps up at the end of the day as the other wide receiver. Stafford's had some decent rapport with him. I do have him at 46 over guys like Laviska Shenault, Henry Ruggs, and even my guy Darnell Mooney, who I talked about on the previous episode in the Chicago game. So, with that being said, I do like all those guys. But something about this matchup, Danny Amendola could be the sneaky guy that I might like in DFS lineups this week as well. The tight end position, I'm not going near Irv Smith or Kyle Rudolph. I don't even know if Kyle Rudolph plays anymore. But Lions are pretty good, or are really good against tight ends, giving up the 25th least amount of points. So you don't want to go anywhere near that for tight end purposes. On the other side, TJ Hawkinson, though, Vikings giving up the 16th most points to tight ends. They're going to target, in my opinion, Lions should target the receivers and the quarter, utilizing Stafford to throw to his receivers. But I think you'll have to get TJ Hawkinson involved, and we've seen him get a lot of goal line potential. And again, in a really weak tight end class, TJ Hawkinson is a top 10 tight end this year. So start TJ Hawkinson. I'm cool with it. I think he'll have a good game. But let's go back to the running backs, because I think that's where we're going to have the biggest discrepancy on who we should be starting in this game. Now, conventional wisdom and people that I'm seeing ranking the guys this week a little bit, they have Adrian Peterson over DeAndre Swift. I'm here to tell you, I think it's going to be the opposite. I think DeAndre Swift is going to come back and have a bounce back week and have a really good game. Why? Because he's their receiving back, and the Vikings are giving up the third most points to wide receivers in the passing game. I like DeAndre Swift for a bounce back week here. I do have him decently lower. Now I have him at 28, and I might bump him up, but I think you can start him and feel better about him than Jonathan Taylor this week. I think you can start him even over Ezekiel Elliott and feel better to a degree. So I do like DeAndre Swift value. I don't love it. Again, I have him at 28 right now. That might change, but I think that you can. If I had to guess a running back that I think is going to be better for this matchup, I think DeAndre Swift is going to be the guy. So to recap, we like Matthew Stafford this week. We like Marvin Jones. We like Danny Amendola. I don't know if it could be Marvin Hall, it could be one of these other guys, but I think it's going to be Amendola to be the sleeper in this game. I do like DeAndre Swift from the running back position over Adrian Peterson. Vikings' best area is the running back position. Now, again, it is a revenge game, but listen, I think we're starting to blow these revenge games out of proportion. I did last week, Melvin Gordon, and the guy barely put up 10 fantasy points. So I'm not going to get overly worked up about the rivalry aspect of this. I think the matchup to me screams DeAndre Swift. So I'm going to go with DeAndre Swift, TJ Hawkinson, Marvin Jones, and Matthew Stafford. Sleeper on that side, Danny Amendola. On the other side of things for Kirk Cousins, listen, Kirk, decent matchup, 11th against quarterbacks, but something about him in divisional game, and I say this every time, and then he's, you might want to start him this week, put it this way, because I don't like him this week, and every time I don't like him, he goes off. So if he goes off, I'll post this little snippet onto the internet and just prove that like it literally works against me. It's why I never went with him in fantasy when he was with Washington, because it was always the opposite for me personally. I do like Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson. The Lions are giving up the 14th most points to wide receivers. And then I love Dalvin Cook. The matchup is screaming. He's my number one running back this week for a reason. Third most points to running backs the Lions are giving up in divisional matchup. Vikings are trying to make a push back into this any way they can with a big momentum win against the Packers. I expect them to come in and take care of business. And with that, that is all the analysis we have for the Lions at the Vikings. Good luck in your fantasy matchups, and I'll see you next week.
Send the rocks across the pavement.